let's touch on the story department for a moment. So, the story department is its own group, separate from the art department, even though the storyboard artists are, in fact, artists. The difference is they are also very good writers. Personally, I'm not a writer. I wouldn't try. But at the same time that the art department is doing our initial exploration based on the written outline, the story department is fleshing it out. It's their job to tell the entire story, to write the dialogue, to do quick sketches that work out the action, scene by scene, act by act, working out the entire show. So they'll do work something like this. For How to Train Your Dragon, these are some storyboard drawings. And a storyboard artist, they will read the script, sketch out ideas to flesh it out, lines of action, write the dialogue, and then they'll take that and they'll, in fact, pitch it to the group, they'll pitch it to the directors, the producers, whoever is in the approval process, and actually perform it. They do funny voices when they talk through all the different characters. So they have to have all of those skills to be a storyboard artist. Sometimes they'll put a little bit more effort and time into the storyboards like this, working out a little bit of value as well. But most often they'll just spend a whole lot of time doing super fast sketches, roughing out the action like these quick sketch storyboards from How to Train Your Dragon. Here are some storyboards from Kung Fu Panda where they had the luxury of taking a little bit more time, throw a little bit of color into it. And sometimes you need to do that for presentation, but most often it's quick and dirty. They just have to get something down and approved and move on to something that's a little bit more formal. So that's how the storyboard department tends to work. So let's bring it right back to the art department and take a look at some initial exploration based on the written outline. So for instance, Kung Fu Panda, no one knew exactly how that show was going to look in the beginning. It was up to the artists. And so of course they wanted to look at traditional Asian design and painting and be influenced by that. And so they took many different passes and many different artists trying to find a look for the show, and in the end came out with something very successful. In How to Train Your Dragon, clouds were going to be very prominent in the show, and so there was lots of cloud design done, and no one knew exactly what the island of Berk was going to look like. We just knew that it needed to be fun and interesting and different, and so here's a piece of initial concept design that was done for that particular location for How to Train Your Dragon. And we'll look at a whole lot more of this as we go over the class. I'm just giving you a few examples as we touch on each of these subjects so that you have an idea what kind of work is being done in these areas. And I want to recommend to you, several animation studios now are producing art of books for each of their productions. If you don't buy those and you're planning to go into animation, you need to, because they are a Bible on what needs to be done to create an animated movie. Next is character design. I've mentioned to you that I'm not a character designer, but I've showed you some examples of great character design when we initially started talking about the character lineup from Kung Fu Panda. And that was beautiful design work which was done by Nico Marley. That particular lineup was designed by him in sketch form like this, and then handed off to other artists, painters in the art department to work out the final look and put together that character lineup. And so as character design is being done, a whole lot of sketching, a whole lot of exploration. Some of it is drawn traditionally, some of it quick sketch, some of it a little bit more finalized. And then gradually those ideas are handed off to the art department, and they will turn those sketches into more final design in the form of paintings like this. And so we'll get a sketch done like this, and often that sketch is handed off to another artist who's a painter, and we'll turn it into something like this. And I say that to point out the collaborative nature of an art department. Different people have different skills. You may do one thing, hand it off to an artist, and they'll do their thing to it, and another artist will do their thing to it, and it will expand into something that ultimately suits and serves the project. So here's some character exploration of the main character Po from Kung Fu Panda. It's gorgeous work, again by Nico Marley, and you can see how he really brought the sense of fun to this character. And another cautionary tale I want to throw at you, and I'll do this from time to time in the class, because as much as this class is about principles for designing with color and light, it's also about gearing those principles towards your professional career. And so we'll talk about the kinds of things that happen in an art department, the good things and even sometimes the bad things, to give you a little bit of preparation for your professional work. And so numerous character designers were brought in to do work on the characters for Kung Fu Panda. There were many freelance character designers that were brought in, and they did interesting work. They did beautiful work, and some of them were told, thank you very much. We think your work is swell and you're a good artist, but it's not what we're looking for. Thank you very much. Here's your paycheck, and we're going to move on to the next artist. It's just a fact that you have to develop a thick skin in this business. As hard as you work to develop your skills, as you should and must do, your work won't be appropriate for every project you'll work on. You'll be handed a paycheck sometimes and patted on the back and say, thank you very much. We hope you find good luck in finding your next job. The problem is none of us have thick skin. We didn't get in this business because we have thick skin. We got in this business because we want to make something that makes us feel proud and that connects with an audience, where people see our work and they say, wow, when I first met you, I didn't think much of you. Now that I've seen your artwork, my opinion of you is completely turned around. We want to do work that really engages with our audience and with the people who see it. We don't have a thick skin. So in this business, you just learn to do your best, and the times when it's passed on, you take a break, you go kick a dog, get a cup of coffee, and then come back to the next thing and do your very best, and one of the times it will hit. I've seen a few artists that have not excused themselves to go kick the dog in private and have let the frustration show in a way that did not suit a professional production environment. It reflected on them poorly, and it was talked about after the fact, and people didn't forget. Always keep that in mind when you're in a professional production environment. Okay, so let's hope that we can be the Nico Marley of the design work that we do, because his work hit the mark. It was loved, it became a beloved character, and I'll show you a few more examples. And you can really see why the work was responded to so well and why it led to such a successful character. And again, I'm not a character designer. I envy this work. I admire it and want to show it to you as well, to show you the importance of character design as an aspect of the production pipeline. And so Nico's sketches were handed off to a fantastic painter, Bill Kaufman, and so Bill took the sketches and produced this beautiful illustration to give a feel for what these characters were really all about. So color script. This is something, unlike character design, that I do and I have a strong involvement in. So let's take a look at some examples of color scripting. I'm going to show you plenty of color scripting work that I've done later over the course of the class. So I'm going to show you what some other people have done here as promised, to give you that wide variety of what kind of look has been successful and appropriate. So let's dive back to the Prince of Egypt. And this is the color script that was done for the Prince of Egypt, the emotional beat board, because we want our movies to be a roller coaster ride. The ups and downs of the story that we hope the audience gets really excited by. In the same way that the musical score is meant to guide your emotions through the ups and downs of the story, the artists have to craft the color palettes to do exactly the same thing. And so on The Prince of Egypt, in an abstract way, the art directors put together these kinds of color combinations to chart out what kinds of color combinations they felt would help tell the story and lead the audience on these ups and downs, these roller coaster ride. And then the artists, on the basis of those color palettes, I know they're real tiny down here, and we'll take a closer look at these later in the class. These are all color roughs, utilizing those color palettes to actual sketches of scenes to take us through our movie. So some other examples then. This is the color script for the dream sequence in Kung Fu Panda, and you can really see how important it was to sequence the look and the lighting of these areas so we can move forward in time to the color script for Kung Fu Panda 2, which does utilize that kind of up and down that happens in the story. Here's the color script done for Monsters vs. Aliens by an extraordinary color and lighting designer named Scott Wills. This takes on a different kind of look and a different kind of style. I want you to know that there are lots of different ways that can be brought on board to do these color scripting work, so we can zoom in here and take a closer look at some of these, because this work needs to be knocked out quickly and we just don't have tons of time to render out finished illustrations of all of these images. They've got to be put up quickly so we have something established that we can work from. And so some examples from this particular show that have a different kind of look and style from some of the other ones we've seen and that we'll look at. This is the color script from Shrek Forever After. A lot of people contributed to this, but it was primarily done and put together by Max Boas. And this was a particularly challenging color script. I'm just zooming in on it a little bit here so that you can see a little bit closer. Shrek Forever After happens all in one day. And so this color script had to work all of that out. We don't want a movie that's in light for 45 minutes and then it's all in dark for 45 minutes. That just doesn't work. The audience doesn't go for that. It doesn't feel right. And so this was a critically important color script where the ins and outs, the ups and downs, the days and the nights, the interiors and the exteriors all had to be crafted with light. So we get that same kind of roller coaster ride, up and down feel of emotional beat in the story. And I thought you might enjoy seeing this as well. This is the original color script for the original Shrek movie, done way back when, painted in acrylics. I thought you might be interested in seeing the difference of how it was done then versus how scripts are being done currently.